to Thru the Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. We got a jam-packed, fun show. We are not in the same studio, but we're always going to have a good time. What's up, Cousin Sal? Good to see you, man. How you doing during the best time of the year? I mean, we just finished the Final Four. We got Masters coming up. It's the best time in the sports calendar, right?
I wish you could enjoy it more, especially with Duke being out. I mean, they are the most hated team in sport. It's so crazy that, basketball, college basketball, sorry, it's not at its pinnacle, and yet still people are just giddy when Duke loses, and I know you are, except now you've turned giddiness into sickness. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where if you're a Harry Potter person, Voldemort came into the arena, Coach K. I started feeling like a headache coming on. I started to get feverish, and that was his first game he attended all season, Sal. And we obviously know what the result was in the end. And a lot of people were saying you can't spell curse without K. That's the new thing. That's Nike's new campaign.
I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I went through puberty and I'm a man and all that stuff. But I'll take your word for it.
I was a kid, you know what I mean? But let's play my favorite game. Let's do some over/under reactions, and let's start. Obviously, the national championship game happened on Monday. We got the reactions on Tuesday, but I want to go back because I haven't gotten to talk to you about this. So I'll say this: Houston over Duke was a top 3 most satisfying Blue Devils loss of all time. Over or under reaction? What are your thoughts?
Well, all right, I'm going to say overreaction, but to bring it back to maybe, I think to make this fair and a good conversation with you, we have to exclude the North Carolina wins, right? Okay, because you're going to pick in your top 3 anytime North Carolina beat Duke is going to be in your top 3. But what if we, especially the one that knocked Coach K out of the box on his home court. Right. That was terrific. But what about non-UNC games? Is this top 3? Is that an over or under reaction? I mean, whenever they got lost by 30 to UNLV, whatever it was, that was great. They've lost to Mercer and Lehigh early in the tournament. Those were great. Would you put this top 3?
I feel like this is basically a toss-up between 99 when they had Elton Brand, and that team was destined to go win. They're playing a UConn program that was supposed to be happy to be here. They're supposed to be playing a head coach, Jim Calhoun, that's not going to be up for the job. He's going to be looking at Coach K. Coach K is going to overwhelm him with the talent on his team, and then, of course, Calhoun, coach circles around him, and that was in the title game. So that one probably hurt even more, but the predetermined mindset of this Duke fan base and all the people kind of around this team, they believed inherently, internally, that this was going to happen. So I think this might be the most shocking result, right? 99 is the title game. Anything can happen. But Coach K would not go to that game unless he thought it was pretty much a surefire thing. And it was the entire game until it wasn't. And Houston obviously made some magic happen. That was one of the craziest games I've ever been at, Sal. Let me just tell you. The ripple effect in the crowd. I mean, Houston fans, Jim Nance is tearing up in the crowd. It was a beautiful thing.
You mentioned 99. 99 was also the percent chance that Duke had to win when they were up 9 with 2:06 left and up 6 with 34 seconds left and didn't grab a freaking rebound for the last 3 minutes. It was terrific. Anyway, that wasn't even the title game, but we're still talking. We're
still talking about it, and the casual fans, they want to keep talking about it. And as I've said to you, Sal, anything that will make them talk about college basketball, we're happy to entertain the conversation. So thank you, Duke. Thank you, Houston, for making some magic happen in March. Let's talk about the tournament games themselves and where the Final Four is actually played. I say to you, Sal, the NCAA would be wise to take the Final Four out of professional football stadiums. Over or under reaction?
I kind of think this is a slam dunk. I think it's an underreaction from the players, from the medias, and from the fans' perspective, the fans at the game. There's not a good seat in the house. You have to rely on a special scoreboard, or if you're in a suite, you watch the game on a TV. And that's like 40-second delay, so it doesn't mesh with the crowd reaction. Media, I'm sure you're about to tell us how terrible it was. And for the players itself, it's like, I just feel like we're doomed for the first 6 minutes. Auburn, Florida was good. They're making their shots. But in general, it's just crappy basketball with 19-year-olds shooting into weird stadium lights. I mean, no one's used to it. And it's like 8-3 after the first TV timeout. I hate it.
And the bench, too, right? The fact that the bench is beneath the court and there's the conversation that's not really there. And a coach has to decide if they go down to the bench. And if they go down to the bench, they have issues because things are happening on the court behind him. There's just too much stimulation all the way around, and fans are too far away. It's like 30 yards. Media is 20 yards away. A lot of times, like you said, you can't even see what happens because you're just looking at a screen instead of the actual basketball. And the basketball suffers because nobody can shoot in these gyms other than L.J. Cryer, Walter Clayton Jr., and Dante DiVincenzo back in 2018, right? Those are all outliers, but the guys...
That's kind of it.
Yeah, right. Everybody else, when they get in these domes, it just looks like... We've never seen bricks like it the entire year. So obviously there's something going on with the spatial awareness of the dome versus what they've been playing all season long. So I think this is a good point. They will never do it, though, because what do we love, Sal? We love money, and there's too many tickets to be sold. So they love they can sell all these tickets, and people keep buying them.
Oh, you're saying they're into money here all of a sudden.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a whole separate topic
Right.
if you want to get into that. I happen to disagree.
Yeah, that's a new thing. A lot of people haven't really heard about this. Let's talk about something that a lot of people did hear about. Tiger Woods, his April Fool's tweet claiming he's playing in the Masters this weekend is at the top of the list of great sports pranks. Over or under reaction? What are your thoughts, Sal?
Did you see this? That dude is so funny.
He's hilarious.
And you know how you know for sure he's mastered comedy? He immediately corrected himself. He couldn't even let it breathe for a second. It's like, just kidding. I'm not playing. Like, all right, well, let it sit for an hour, see if there's any bites. Yeah, no shit, you're not playing. By the way, he should be embarrassed. There's an 80-year-old president winning senior tournaments in Jupiter, Florida last weekend. An incredible feat, but Tiger can't play because his knee hurts. All right, joke's on you, Tiger.
Yeah, joke's on you. And you and I have talked about this. If April Fool's is your go-to day to be funny, you need to reevaluate whether you're funny or not. And we can continue to go down this chamber. And Tiger Woods, obviously, with the correction, that makes it even fun. Then it's funny. When he did the correction, I was like, now it's funny. This is great because he's actually tricking reporters.
You didn't make anyone laugh for 25 years. You don't need to start now.
Right. No time for that. Next up, Sal, the last week of the NBA regular season is the hardest to navigate from a gambling standpoint and a watching standpoint. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts?
Underreaction. I mean, I don't even want to think about how much money I'm going to lose. I might as well just dump it in the S&P 500. But I could just see it. The T-Wolves need to beat the pathetic Nets at home to get out of that 7-10 quagmire, right? And then they end up losing by 3 dozen and don't play that. Like, I feel, didn't the Cavs lose to the Hornets and blow the division last year?
Yeah,
on the last game of the season. They didn't want to win the division or something, which never occurred to anybody betting them. Always great stuff. Underreaction. I have to just cut my thumbs off this week.
I feel like it's just so much jockeying for position that you don't even remember why teams are trying to throw games. And you know what I mean? If you don't know all the behind the scenes reasons why they want to lose games, then if you're just watching casually like I did on Sunday and watching the Hornets play the Bulls, I'm just like, is this team trying to lose? Turns out, yes, they are. So
yes. Yeah, they are.
That's the world we live in. Next.
Yeah, I was like, what happened to the Hornets? I'm like, oh, they have all their starters in. That's what happened.
Yeah, right. Right. And they lost, as is tradition. They're waiting for Cooper Flag. They're waving the white flag. Carmelo Anthony, another freshman who was a superstar, is the most controversial Hall of Fame selection this decade. Over or under reaction? I know Harry's very upset about this.
Yeah, I'm going to say underreaction. It's not just our idiot friend Harry. Everyone seems to hate Carmelo. You think he played for Duke or something with all the
played for Boeheim, you know? It's same.
Boeheim he played for. The Knicks fans hate this idea of him getting in. They really let him down, even though his numbers support him being in. If you can compare it, right? 10-time All-Star, 3-time gold medalist. He was a subject of Simmons' trade machine like 64 times. I really think the numbers support him getting in.
Yeah, and the USA basketball and the college basketball, I think the 2 out of 3 is probably what a lot of people will go for. And we do forget that Carmelo in 2009, there was a conversation, who's better, him or LeBron? He's in the Western Conference Finals. He's taking on Kobe. Right. LeBron is floundering and maybe looking to go elsewhere, right? So he did have this moment where Carmelo was in that conversation. Obviously, it moved on. The New York Knicks fans did not feel good when they had him in town, and the rest is history. But I think that's a good point. Next up, finger gun celebrations should be banned in every sport. Over or under reaction, Sal?
Well, I think Ja Morant and the like should have to take a mental health background check, and only if they pass that can they do the finger gun stuff. I think that's what. No, I'm going to say overreaction. This doesn't bother me as much. Kids aren't doing dumb things because a man made a gun with his fingers. Take it out of movies, take it out of songs if you're really going to do that. But no, overreaction. Come on.
I'm ready for Happy Gilmore Netflix to go back and like blur out the finger guns from Shooter McGavin. I think that would be a nice moment, a nice touch. That way we can get it all clear.
They would actually have to audio. They'd have to bleep his name, Shooter. I don't know.
That's right.
He'd called Shooter.
Mr. McGavin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Tudor. Something like that.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Slappy McGavin. Yeah.
Slappy. That's a good one. Let's talk about the torpedo bat because everybody else is. I say to you, Sal, torpedo bat has already passed, quote unquote, load management as the most overused sports term. Over or under reaction?
It's interesting because I was getting sick of load management. Maybe torpedo bat has to undergo load management so that we could use both. So, yes, I think we're there. We're already there. Like, 10 days into the season, whatever the hell it is, torpedo bat. It's taking over our sports lingo.
And shout out to John Jastrzemski. How Parker Posey, you hear like, no, and all these things in your head. I hear John Jastrzemski yelling torpedo bat over and over in my sleep. So I appreciate him doing the Lord's work. Let's talk about New York.
There's another one. Apex Mountain, also overused. Apex Mountain might be the apex mountain of annoying overused sports terms.
Oh, there you go. Sometimes people will say you can can just say Apex. You know what I mean? You don't have to do the clarification. Right. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Saved you some time.
Let's talk about the Apex Mountain of this guy. Alexander Ovechkin's record-breaking goal versus the Islanders was the biggest sports moment in New York since the costume draft lost his race to the costume subway at Citi Field. We got some B-roll here if you want to take a look in case you missed it. Over or under reaction, Sal, your thoughts?
Oh, I didn't miss it. I was watching live when it happened.
Oh, yeah,
the giraffe got really cocky and tumbled to the ground, and then the costume subway snuck in as the Brooklyn Pizza Slice mascot looked on in amazement. But look, with the hockey, they made as big a deal as they could with having, Gretzky pay tribute to Ovechkin, but ultimately I feel no one cared. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Gretzky have to follow Ovechkin for like 3 more years until this record was broken. He was like on the North American tour. He had to go to every game just so that he could shake his hand and fake hug him and congratulate him at the end. But I wanted to see that last.
It feels like a punishment for the guys that have the record, right? They have to go around and just follow the guy that's going to break their record and basically take them off the board, and they have to act like they're super happy about it. These insane competitive people have to play this nice game. It's a very fascinating phenomenon.
Or even worse, it's like a relative, if the guy died, like Roger Maris's son had to follow, to see if Judge broke the record.
Right.
Yeah. My father never spoke to me. Why am I doing this? I have no idea.
He's like, my dad might be mad I'm even here. Who knows?
Yeah. Day 19. Yeah.
Right. Last one, Sal. Former Patriots quarterback Joe Milton winning a Super Bowl for the Cowboys would be the ultimate win for Cousin Sal over Bill Simmons. Over or under reaction? I know you're excited.
Under freaking reaction. I have it all in my head. Dak gets hurt. Joe Milton steps in. The boys go undefeated. Win the Super Bowl, and Drake May and the Pats suffer another 4-13 year, whatever it was. Or is it better if Milton and the Cowboys beat Drake May in the Super Bowl? I'm not sure. Which of the two?
I think that's it. I think you want to get them the most hope. That's what it was fun. That's why it was fun with Duke. It's like when they have the most amount of hope, that's when it's funny, when it goes the other way, right? So
that's true.
Right when they believe, that's when it's good.
All right. That's good. Yeah, look, honestly, though, I love trades like this. The Cowboys hardly ever pull them off with no risk and a little upside, and I like the move.
I like it too. Pour one out for Cooper Rush. Let's call up the Riverboat captain. Let's do some prop culture. We got a fun one. We're talking one shining moment. You heard it on Monday night. So I say to you, Sal, who would you most like to hear one shining moment? We have the odds in front of us. Beyonce and Jay-Z, the favorite, 3-1. We got Bruce Springsteen, 5-1. I know Lombardi would be happy about that one. We got Jelly Roll, who I just saw at the Final Four, at 15-1. We got Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith, who I also saw at the Final Four, 50-1. And we got the field at even odds. Sal, who would you most like to hear sing this great song?
Did you see the field at the Final Four too?
Yeah, I did. He was a super great guy. Honestly, very nice, very neutral. He was great. It was so fun.
I'm going to say these are nice choices, but I think I'm going to go off the board and say whoever suffered the worst loss in the tournament should have to sing it. It should be a punishment. It's a great song. All respect to the great Luther Vandross, but people would line up to listen to Coach K get through that after losing to UNLV, or John Shire or Cooper Flagg. Imagine Cooper Flagg having to sing that after that crazy foul was called. So I would say one of the players from the tournament who lost then has to sing One Shining Moment, kind of like sarcastically. If not any of those guys, I would say Luigi Mangione, just for the same reasoning.
Right. And they could do the Jimmy Fallon St. John's thing, right? They go there and they just sit in the studio and they sing the song, and that would be amazing. I think the field, even odds, would be a lot of fun. And I think you should have to have an alumnus from your school that sings One Shining Moment. Like the winning team has to nominate someone pre-tournament that's going to sing a rendition of One Shining Moment. So then you get like connective tissue that, we know an alum who's a singer from the school, and every year it's a different singer. We have different iterations. They can make the most money off the song. So I'll take the field at even odds, even though Charles and Kenny would be great.
Yeah, you're thinking of like something nice. I always think humiliation first, and because it's a sad song and they're already down in the dumps. Let Cooper Flagg let it fly and let the tears follow.
The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're going home. There you have it, Sal. I turn it over to you. Let's set some lines and let's have some fun.
All right, these are fake. You can't find them on FanDuel. We get letters like, hey, I looked all over in the tab and the Ringer No, it's not there. All right, these are three. These are a couple I made up here. Over under 1,000.5 pimento cheese sandwiches. Sal forces agent James Baby Doll Dixon to purchase in Augusta this week. We're going. It's me. It's Baby Doll. It's Simmons. It's House. It's David Chang. and I'm going to make him buy 1,000.5 pimento cheese sandwiches. You go over or under?
I think over is going to hit. I think you're going to go tell everybody that you meet that you got a guy named Baby Doll who wants to buy sandwiches for everybody. Slowly but surely, we start building a mass audience, and then all of a sudden, Baby Doll gets stuck with the bill, and he's like, "Baby, what is this? 1,000 sandwiches? Who's eating all these sandwiches?" And then you have like a huge, like it's like Forrest Gump, you know, like they're following you around the course waiting for their pimento cheese sandwiches. I think this is a great move.
Well, first of all, they're like $1.25 each, these sandwiches.
Right.
And they make such a big deal out of it, the masses. It's like a $4,000 ticket to get in or something. But $1.20, they're charging, what good guys, they're charging $1.25 for cheese and Wonder Bread. But anyway, yeah, I could make Baby buy these. We'll give it to the homeless. There's a homeless problem in Augusta, right around the course. People hanging out in the bushes. That's it. I would go, I think over's a good bet there. All right, here's another one, Tate. Don't throw up yet. All right, here we go. Over under 2.5 years of the 5-year Deion Sanders contract that Deion actually serves as Colorado head coach.
I'm going to go over. I think he's 3. I think the line is great, 2.5. I think that's exactly where it is. I think he can get a roster back together by a year 3. That's his pitch to go back up to the big leagues. And he's like, I've done my duty here. Shador is already getting ready for his first max contract. Travis Hunter's on the same wavelength. I want to get up to the big leagues and maybe try to get one of those guys to convince their owner, front office, whatever it is, that I'm the right guy to coach them. So I think 3 years is the number for me for Prime.
That's not bad. It might be a good number if I might say so myself. But I'm kind of thinking maybe because he's 57, so 3 years puts him at 60. Maybe he has an epiphany. Maybe he has to juice up Shador, who's in his 3rd year playing for the Panthers. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to go slightly under. But
okay,
I like it. You can't bet these. I told you. All right, here's the last one. To help deal with anxiety stemming from end of college basketball season, Tate Frazier will ingest more lorazepam this week than Timothy Ratliff did on season 3 of White Lotus.
If I did that, Sal, you would never see me again. I feel like if I just took one of those lorazepams,
really?
I would never come back. So I hope to God that's not going to happen. I got a little bit of a cold. I think Coach K sent some feverish virus over towards me during the game. It was very strange. I just got hit with something while I was in the building. But I'm not going to go full Ratliff. As you know, Sal, you never go full Ratliff. That's never good for the South.
I want you to say, like the wife there, like Parker Posey, in her voice, can you say, I have to pretend to care about Jason Tatum for 2 months?
2 months? Where's my lorazepam? Come on. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
good. All right.
My mom is very upset.
Ready for season 4. Get in there.
My mom's upset about the accent, even though Parker Posey, she's from the South. She's from Texas, so it's stamped and it's approved. I love it. Sal, I love when you set the lines, and I love when you hang on because we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do some line look-aheads and subtract to the futures, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Cousin Sal, and we are making sense and giving you out the best bets of the weekend. Sal, you're going to be in Augusta National at the Masters, as you teased before. Very excited about that. This is your first time, right, going to Augusta?
First time. I'm a little nervous. I'm excited, but mostly nervous because you have to give up your phone when you're on the course. And it's just a weird thing to me. Have you given up your phone for a night? I've gotten into concerts where I have whatever, but I don't know. I don't want to give it up for like 8 hours. Am I being a baby about this?
I like when they put like the Band-Aid over your camera on both sides, you know what I mean? But I still get to keep my property. I don't like when they take my property away. I still feel like, I know it's hip, I know it's cool to do that, but there is a certain level of like, are we sure we're trusting this guy Randy to take 30 phones away and not do any nefarious activities? I'm not sure about that. So
I
it's a fair point.
have a theory that Augusta is a dump. And there's like scaffolding all over the place and broken glass and like people down on their luck making fires to stay warm. And they put up these beautiful green screens and no one can disprove it because you're not allowed to take pictures with your phone. You're not allowed to have a phone. I don't know. I'll see. I'll let you know what we can do with that.
I'm very excited to hear your rendition of what happens at Augusta National. We need that to be an entire episode, and I know that you'll be covering it on the Bill Simmons podcast. Let's do a line look ahead. Let's do Masters winner, Sal. This is someone that's in range that you like that could win this weekend. Who do you like? Who's on your board?
Colin Morikawa at 16-1, I think is really, really good odds and very high actually for, a guy who's 4th in the world right now. He's had success at Augusta, 3rd last year, 10th the year before, 5th in 2022. He's never missed a Masters cut, so he's going to be in sight this weekend. In 2024, he finished inside the top 20 in all 4 majors. Clutch, Tate. This year, 5 tournaments. Worst finish was 17, came in second in Arnold Palmer and Century. He blew a 3-stroke lead, and Arnold Palmer. I think he's going to be there. I think 16-1 is excellent. So
I like that call. I like Morikawa. He's got a great game. It's suited for, obviously, Augusta National, so that's a great call. I'm going to go with Ludwig Oberg. This is his second time playing Augusta National. If you didn't watch last year, that was his debut. He finishes in second. The last time that we saw someone come out the gate in their major debut at the Masters and get that high of a finish was Jordan Spieth back in 2014, Sal. And what did he do the next year in 2015? He won the Masters. So I do think there's maybe...
I have it recorded. I have a DVR. Thank you for...
Right. I don't want to spoil it, but he did do that back in 2015. They did the Jordan rules. It was a great moment. But I think Oberg, the fact that he won at Torrey Pines, I know he missed the cut this past weekend at the Valero Texas Open, but I was in San Antonio, a lot of wind, chilly, just a very strange kind of setup for that course. So I think in Augusta, he's going to be comfortable, and you can get him at an 18-1 number, and he's top 5 right now in FedEx Cup standing. So if you're a Ludwig Oberg fan, I think that's the move. I like it.
Let's hope he didn't miss the cut because he got the same mystery illness that you contracted right there.
I know. We were going to go watch it in person, Sal, on Sunday, but again, Coach K sent something across the arena at me, and I don't know what's going on. Let's do a long shot winner, a line look ahead here for the Masters. Obviously, these are guys that we both think are up near the top of the board, but who's someone that's more off the beaten path that you really think can make a run?
All right, I'm seeing now you can get Cam Smith at 60-1, 9th Masters. This is his 9th Masters. He's also never missed a cut. Top 10 in 5 of the last 7 Masters, and he chopped off the mullet, Tate. I like the mullet. He said he was bored with the mullet. I think that's very disrespectful to Joan Jett, but he tied for 9th in the LIV tournament last weekend, shot well on Sunday. I like the momentum coming into an event. Like I said, on a course he's played very well on. Mullet or not, here we come, Tate. Let's put a little on the Australian at 60-1.
Well, I got another Australian that's on my board. Minwoo Lee, who is 55-1. He has been able to finish in the top 25 of 2 of the past 3 Masters that he has played in, so he's comfortable on the course. We just saw him win last weekend, and he had a moment where he almost collapsed, but he was able to save himself. So I like the confidence. I like that Minwoo Lee's playing in form, and I like that you and I both like the Australians. So, and they're great people, Sal. So if you see any Australians at Augusta National, let them know that you're supporting the Aussies out there because they're big fans.
Great that you land. From what I understand, they don't make you give up your phone, which is very, very key for any tourist.
Yeah, it's the best. They also have a sports ombudsman, by the way, which is like, Bill always talks about a sports czar. Australia actually has a sports czar. Every result in Australia at any league has to get approved and finalized by the ombudsman, and he works for the government. So maybe there's a world.
Does he have a mullet?
I think he does. I think it's part of the job. You have to have a mullet. That's what everybody says. Last line look ahead that's Masters related. Masters props. Obviously, there's a lot of props that are out there, but there's some that you think that are just worth circling and looking into if you can find them on the board. What are 2 that you have circled?
Well, I like John Rahm as top Spaniard, but it's mostly because I love saying the word Spaniard, and I'm pretty sure we're still allowed to do it. It's usually Rahm or Garcia or Jose Maria Olazabal, another name I love to say because it's Jose Maria. What? I don't know. And then Olazabal, even though there's a Z in it. Anyway, I'm going to go top Spaniard, John Rahm. I also am going to go no hole in one. This is my don't pass bet, Tate. It's like shorting the market. Why would anyone do that? But I'm going no hole in one. You get it for like plus 170-ish. The thing is you don't see the hole in one when it happens. It's always on a hole that they're not focusing on. The broadcast is. Like no one ever sees it. I feel like they show a highlight from 2010. You wouldn't know the difference. Like, oh, here's Ian Poulter on 16, and it goes, and then everyone falls for it. So should be a plus 170-ish. No hole in one. Take that.
I like that. We get a lot of hole-in-ones in the par 3 contest, but in the actual tournament, it is not so nice, obviously, because the conditions are tough, and Augusta National will make you pay. So you don't go after many pins at Augusta National. You kind of play to the center of the green, so that helps with this prop bet. So if you see somebody where they cut to, you never heard of a guy, and he's like an amateur, and he's on the tee box, and he's plus 8, you should get worried, especially if it's like a par 3. Yeah, that's the one that might make a hole-in-one. So knock on wood.
See something, say something.
Right.
And give up your phone.
Right. Yell something in his backswing as you see it go up on the Jumbotron. That would be smart. Let's pivot to the NBA, your favorite sport. Let's do a line look ahead for NBA Wednesday. What's your best bet on the board, Sal?
Well, this is the one everyone was waiting for, right? Mavs, Lakers. I'm going to take the Mavs plus the points here. Lakers won by 8 in LA. Now, I know the Lakers will need it because it's so tight in the West, right? With that 3-7, 3-8. So there should be a decent chunk of points here to take with the underdog Mavs. Anthony Davis, really nice game against the Clippers this weekend. He's back. He's building up. I think he gets a little revenge. He didn't play in that first game. P.J. Washington, Klay Thompson help out. I'm going to say Mavs actually win that game. They pull off the upset on Wednesday.
I like it. Great call. And I think the Mavericks, there's some personal stuff there, especially with AD. He's still not happy with how he was sent out the door and sent packing out of Los Angeles. Last thing here for NBA related, I'm going to take Raptors points over the Hornets. I don't know what the motivation is for both these teams, but I assume they both want to lose. I think the Hornets want to lose more because they want to get Cooper flagged. So I would take Raptors in this game just because if you've watched the Hornets recently, it's I think you and I could get out there, Sal. So
yeah, they signed a
Raptors.
contract to tank for the next 7 years. So
Right.
I think they're doing a bang-up job.
I know. I love my team. Boy, do I love my team. Last one, Track to the Future, UFC 314. Sal, who do you like in this one? I know this is something that a lot of people are looking forward to, and you're going to be watching this weekend.
Yeah, co-main event, Paddy Pimblett and Michael Chandler. I'm going to go Chandler plus 134. He went 5 rounds with Charles Oliveira and almost pulled off the upset a few months ago. And that dude's the best. I mean, he's unstoppable. So Pimblett, I know he doesn't have many flaws aside from the haircut, but he could trip up here against a hungry Chandler looking for his first octagon win in like 3 years. If he brawls with Chandler, he's going to find trouble, and I think that's what's going to happen. I'll pick another upset here. Michael Chandler, plus 134, wins in Miami this
You
Saturday.
sold me. Give me Chandler, plus 134. I'm taking that all day, every day. Based on what I've seen from Pimblett recently, I think that's a great call by you, Sal. Sal, where can we find all your work? And then we'll let you go enjoy your time in Augusta.
Yeah, Against All Odds podcast. Just have one this week, and I'm probably going to be on Bill Simmons, the BS pod, later in the week in Augusta with David Chang, with Baby Doll, James Dixon, and with Joe Howe. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. I can't wait to hear the stories that come out of that weekend. And thanks, as always, Sal, for coming on the show. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Tate, go put yourself in the hospital right now.
I think
Go
so.
admit yourself.
I'm going to go call somebody. We'll be right back after the break, and stay tuned. Joining us now, as promised, we've got the Ringer's very own Raheem Palmer joining the show, our local in-house sharp, a wise guy. You know him well. Raheem, first and foremost, how you doing, man? How are things?
Life is good right now. I'm just excited because next week the NBA postseason starts. I mean, we had an incredible game. I won't say an incredible March Madness, but the Final Four was great. You got 4 number ones, and you had some incredible games that you're going to remember for the rest of our lives. So
yeah, 3 great games, 4 1 seeds in the Final Four. I was there, boots on the ground. Still shocked about what happened on Saturday night. Both those games were incredible. So shout out to the madness. It's always a good time. But now we're going to talk some NBA. I want to do some Wednesday NBA best bets. This is a game that a lot of people circled on the calendar. Lakers, Mavericks. Lakers minus 5.5 in this game. Obviously, a lot of emotions that are going into this one. Anthony Davis involved. As you're handicapping this game and you're trying to figure out what to look for in this game, are you playing into those emotions? Are you trying to keep it more logic-based based on who these teams are? Like, what's the play here?
the biggest thing is I'm trying to keep things logic-based, because right now in the Western Conference, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. We know that they're going to be first. They've locked up the #1 seed throughout the Western Conference. But if you look at seeds 2 through 6, I mean, things are just so fluid. I mean, you could have a team like the Denver Nuggets who they're 4th in the Western Conference right now, and they can drop out of the postseason. So the Los Angeles Lakers right now, they need to win every single game to avoid the play-in race, and they're also trying to get home court advantage. So I think that's the most important thing. And then the Dallas Mavericks, they're trying to stay in the play-in tournament altogether. So you just you have two motivated teams. So throw the emotions out of it. Both of these teams are going to be trying.
Do you have any props in this game that you maybe look at, maybe a Luka situation or like, an Anthony Davis situation where you're like, there's some emotions involved, or maybe they go off and try to send a message? Is that something you play into, or maybe you wait to the playoffs for them to do something like that, or the play-in, either one?
So I think the interesting thing about that is a lot of times you see those lines become inflated because everybody's thinking from the same perspective that you just said. Oh, Luka Doncic is going to be motivated. So you see those numbers get inflated. And I think you could kind of wait until the public steps in and then you can bet them under. Me personally, I'm not going to have anything on Luka props. But what I am going to do is I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Los Angeles Lakers. I look at this game and you got the Los Angeles Lakers, like right now, their offense is absolutely rolling. Since the trade deadline, you're talking about a team who is fourth in offensive rating, 123 points per 100 possessions. Look, it's very difficult to stop the combination of LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves. And I think it's going to play out in this matchup. And I also like the over in this matchup. I think you're going to see a lot of points in this game. So me personally, I'm going to take the over 227.5 on FanDuel Sportsbook. This will probably go up. I think this number is very, very short on the total. I also think it's short on the side as well, even though the Los Angeles Lakers are playing a third game in 4 nights. But I think they should be able to handle things.
Yeah, I like it. And maybe they, circled this one as the one they really want to go after. And of course, LeBron has to record his podcast too. That comes into play when it comes to some of these decisions about what the Lakers are going to do. I say that in jest, of course. Let's do Nuggets Kings. This game is fascinating because of the Mike Malone of it all. Obviously, Denver's ownership decided to get rid of the GM, Calvin Booth, and get rid of their head coach, Mike Malone. Now, when you have something happen, you mentioned logic is always at the precipice, but emotions may get into this. Do we think that we get like an emotional game where the Nuggets are trying to prove something, win for themselves, or is this a game where maybe there's a letdown because they don't have their head coach? How do you handicap a game like this based on the news peg behind it?
Well, I don't think you let the fact that Mike Malone got fired, I don't think you let that impact your handicapping. I mean, look, last week we just saw the Memphis Grizzlies. They fired Taylor Jenkins. And it didn't change anything for that team
Right.
at all. I mean, you look at the Denver Nuggets right now, they're in a world of trouble. We don't know if Jamal Murray is going to be even ready for the postseason right now. And you look at Nikola Jokic, his last 3 games, 61 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists versus Minnesota, a loss. 33 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists against Golden State, a loss. 41 points, 15 rebounds, 13 assists against the Indiana Pacers, a loss. So you have the best player in the world on this team, performing a carry job unlike anything we've seen throughout this league, and they're still going out there and losing. So I don't think, the fact that Mike Malone is getting fired is going to change anything about your handicap here. And let's look at the last couple of games in which they played the Sacramento Kings. They were very hard-fought games. I mean, you go back to January 23rd. Yes, the Nuggets, they won and covered that game, but all throughout that game, Sacramento was right there. And Sacramento is playing for their playoff lives, as is the Denver Nuggets. So we don't have a line on this game at this point, but if you ask me, this is probably going to be a very close game.
Yeah, it's also fascinating to me when you have an MVP candidate, like you said, Jokic, who is playing at the highest level. I mean, all-time great level, and to fire his coach and basically punt on the playoffs when he is in his physical and mental prime. It just seems very odd to me. But again, we're just talking about this one game. That's a larger conversation. Let's have a larger conversation about one team, though. The Houston Rockets. You like this team. I like this team. I think a lot of people that watch them play have an affinity for how they play, the toughness of this group. Obviously, they have a great coach in Ime Udoka. What do you like about the Rockets, and how far can they go in the playoffs with this team currently?
Okay, the biggest thing that you have to like about the Rockets is they're a young, hungry, scrappy team with a good coach like Ime Udoka. And then they have a guy in Amon Thompson, who is just probably one of the most athletic players that we've seen throughout this league. And he's just absolute terror. And you look at this Rockets team, they are third in defensive rating, 109 points per 100 possessions. But the biggest problem with this Rockets team is that they do not have a good half-court offense. And if you look at the postseason historically, teams without a good half-court offense, they don't go very far because the game slows down and you need a guy who is going to consistently be able to generate offense. The Houston Rockets are 23rd in half-court offensive rating, 93 points per 100 possessions. And how do the Houston Rockets generate most of their offense? Well, they're 9th in points added per 100 possessions, and they're 8th in points per play. So you're talking about a team who generates a ton of turnovers, they get out in transition, and they run. Well, when you're playing the top 8 teams in the conference, and these teams don't necessarily turn the ball over a ton, and they're better at generating half-court offense than you, it puts you in a tough spot. So I don't think the Houston Rockets, they have a lot of hope to make any noise in the postseason. However, one thing I will say is that this defense is so good that I do think they're going to be tough to beat. So I think this is a team who, they're going to have home court advantage. And, the way I price home court advantage in the NBA playoffs is rather strong. I think it's worth about, 4.5 points. So I could easily see this Houston Rockets team pushing a team to 7 games. But ultimately, I think their half-court offense is going to hold them back.
And maybe that's the sell, right, for the summer. You go ahead and push one of these top teams to a 7-game series. Someone who's a scorer that's a free agent or on the trade market, cough, Kevin Durant, looks at that and says they're one half-court scoring from, being a team that can actually contend. And maybe they can sell that pitch there after they have a proof of concept. So that's fascinating. Let's flip to the Eastern Conference. Obviously, they're the top 2 teams, the Celtics, the Cavs. Celtics minus 145 right now to win the East. Cavaliers plus 185. Who do you like and why, Raheem?
I like the Boston Celtics. Look,
smart.
The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've probably been the best team all year in the Eastern Conference, but I think you have to give the Boston Celtics the benefit of the doubt. At the end of the day, you got Jason Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown. They've been to the conference finals. I mean, you're talking about 4 or 5 years straight at this point in time. They won the NBA title last year. You got Drew Holiday. They're just a stacked roster. And I just trust this team ultimately to get it done. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they're having a great year. But at some point, you got to prove it to me. And you look at the Cavs since January 1st. 14th in defensive rating, 25th in defensive rebounding since January 1st. And I think that could be problematic. So the biggest thing when it comes to the Boston Celtics is, can you match them from downtown? Because they're going to shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to get them up. And I just don't see anybody matching them. So I think it's the Boston Celtics. They should be able to win it. But I can't be mad at anybody who just says, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had a monster year. They should be able to get it done. So we're going to see what happens. But I do think it's a 2-horse race in the East.
Yeah, it does feel like if you're Cleveland, you probably want everybody to pick the Celtics anyway. So that gives you a little bit of chip on your shoulder to prove a point. So I think it's good for them in the end. Let's do this. Capture the flag. It's been a game all season long in the NBA. If you've been watching these teams at the bottom of the pack, the Hornets, the Jazz, the Wizards, Pelicans, right? They're all playing their own version of capture the flag where they're trying to get Cooper flag. If you're looking at the FanDuel odds right now, teams to get Cooper flag, the Jazz plus 500, Wizards plus 500, Hornets plus 500. They're all up there kind of neck and neck. If you had to bet on a team, obviously we got to wait for the lottery and all things to happen, but if you just had to right now kind of forecast who's going to be the team that he goes to, who do you suspect and what's good value to kind of pick one of these teams for Cooper flag?
Well, it seems like they flattened the odds lately. So it's probably tough to just bet on any of these teams at this point in time.
Feels like just throwing a Hail Mary at this point, right? You're just trying to get some odds.
Philadelphia 76ers. Like we deserve one. Joel Embiid is probably going to have to retire because his injuries are just, they're just so bad at this point in time. I don't know how he's ever going to play again or consistently be healthy again. So I need the NBA to just throw us something, man. Come on, give us Cooper flag and we can start to rebuild.
Yeah, I like that. And then if he goes to Philly and then after his rookie contract, he wants to go to the Celtics, it creates like this Babe Ruth almost like moment in basketball. That would be great.
Oh, don't put that negativity in that. Like we already let them have Jason Tatum.
You're right.
Like we got to get one, man. Come on.
Okay. Cooper flag to the Philadelphia 76ers. I like that. Raheem, stay right there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL over-unders and just some NFL stuff in particular. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Raheem Palmer, and now we're going to make sense of the NFL. And we got the over-unders. They came out. That was a holiday for Cousin Sal. He was fired up. He was sitting over the over-under, sharing them with everybody, trying to get opinions on it. So that's always fun. And now I have you here, Raheem. So I got to get your opinion. What number was the biggest surprise for you when it comes to the over-unders? What team really stood out to you?
Believe it or not, it was the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. But the biggest thing for me is that their over-under was 7.5. And if you look at the Dallas Cowboys and how they performed during the Dak Prescott era, that number is way too low. You're talking about a team that went 7-10 last year, and Dak Prescott barely played. And you look at, the 3 years before that, the Cowboys went 12-5. So I think as long as you have Dak Prescott, as long as you have CeeDee Lamb, as long as you have Micah Parsons, they should be able to win half of their games. I don't care how good the Philadelphia Eagles are. I don't care how good the Washington Commanders are. The Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott, who I believe is a top 10 quarterback, should be able to win half of their games. So that is the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, stamp that in. Brian Schottenheimer, you believe in him. You think he can win at least 8 games?
I'm not saying I believe in him. I'm not saying I believe in him at all. But
Sorry,
I am
too
saying
easy.
this is very disrespectful to Dak Prescott. And I just think Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. You're probably talking top 6 at this point in time. And I think he's good enough to overcome this number.
Absolutely. And they got a great big 3 there, as far as like top tier talent, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. Those are things that are nice to have, especially for a team that wants to win over 7 games. I think they got a good chance. Let's talk about another team that's always kind of in that range, it seems these days. Can Mike Tomlin lead the Steelers to over 8.5 wins? Do you believe in Tomlin? They don't have a quarterback, even though they kind of do have a quarterback with Aaron Rodgers. There's this weird limbo period going on. But do you believe they can get over 8.5, or do you like the under?
Did you know Mike Tomlin never had a losing season?
I know. I hear it a lot.
There's just no way that you can bet this under. I think they're probably going to, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have an upgraded quarterback. And regardless of how many ayahuasca retreats he goes on, how many darkness retreats he goes on, this is an upgrade. And at FanDuel Sportsbook right now, they have over 8.5 at plus 120. And I would just recommend going out and just grabbing that, because if they get Aaron Rodgers, this number is going to go up. You're talking 9.5, and then you created a middle for yourself. So just grab this. And then we also know that Mike Tomlin, he's never had a losing season. I don't think that's going to start now. As long as they have Watt, they should be able to win some games. So let's go over this number.
And you can get it at plus 120, so there's some plus money there, and I think I'm right there with you. Let's do an over-under three-team race to win the AFC, and we got the 3 teams here. We got the Ravens, we got the Buffalo Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Ravens plus 350, Bills plus 360, Chiefs plus 410. Out of that group, out of those 3 teams, which one do you buy into the most to win the AFC next season?
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. We always do. I feel like you and I were just like, I keep pounding the Ravens until it finally hits. And maybe when I give up is when they'll finally do it. But I do believe in the Ravens as well.
I do. I mean, I do think Lamar has some James Harden in him. And that's the only thing that scares me. But I just ultimately, I think they're probably the best team out of those 3. And, I think the Chiefs, they have some real hangover potential. I'm going to be honest with you. And then the Bills, I don't think they're a complete team at this point in time. I think Josh Allen is truly carrying this team, but I think the Ravens are the most complete team out of all those 3.
Yeah, and the Ravens, again, still have something to prove. The Derrick Henry of it all was great last year. It does feel like they do have a nice cohesive nature on that team where they all kind of buy in. They do believe in Lamar internally. It feels like externally the people have turned on him, but I do like the Ravens as well. Plus 350, that's a good call. Now let's flip to the NFC. Can anybody challenge the Eagles? Eagles right now plus 300. Lions right behind plus 550. Rams plus 850. Commanders plus 950. Do you still like the Eagles, or is there somebody else you would circle on the board?
Yeah, I think you have to trust the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if there's another team who could probably, enter this, it's probably the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I think right now the Green Bay Packers, they are 11-1 to win that NFC. That's a team that I will be looking out for.
Yeah, and that's a great call with Jordan Love. It did feel like last year going into the season, everybody was talking about the Packers. Now, for whatever reason, people are a little bit off the scent. And funny enough, the Packers and the Eagles, right? They started the season out in Brazil. That felt like a very inconsequential game, but it turns out it was very consequential because we got to learn that week that Saquon Barkley was for real, the Eagles were for real, and of course, it led to a Super Bowl in the end. So that's a good call there.
Even more than that, it was very consequential because Jordan Love got injured on the last play the game, and it felt like he was never right the entire year, and it just felt like they were snake bitten from that point on. And a lot of times I believe how you start is often how you finish, and when you suffer that injury, and then he suffered a few more later on that year, he just never was right. And I think they kind of had the season from hell. I think this year he stays healthy, they put it together, and I think they're a contender this year.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good call. Let's look at Super Bowl odds. Again, this is all we're in April right now, so this is, we're draft time, but there's a lot of people that have excitement. We want to look at the odds here, but Super Bowl odds, obviously very intriguing. The Eagles, the favorites, obviously they're the champs right now, plus 600. Ravens right behind them, plus 700. And then there's kind of a cluster of teams. Bills plus 750, Chiefs plus 800, Lions plus 1,000, Rams plus 1,800. Is it worth taking a long shot when you kind of look at these odds, or do you take a surefire thing? Like, is there a way to handicap these sort of futures, or do you wait? Like, what's sort of your approach to this sort of stuff? And do you have a favorite as you look at the board?
I think it's always kind of worth it to take a long shot. A lot of times in past years, one of the things that I like to do is that you're looking at quarterbacks still on their rookie deal. And a lot of times when you have those quarterbacks on their rookie deal, because they're not paying quarterbacks, the high salaries, you're able to allocate resources to other places. So a team like the Commanders at 19-1, that might have some value. And I'm not saying go ahead and take the Commanders, but that's an approach that I like to take is, taking those teams where they have those rookie quarterbacks and they're going to be spending money other places. So that's one of my approaches. But I think ultimately, the league is pretty top heavy. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be back there again. I think the Ravens are going to be back there again. I think the Bills, the Chiefs, I think all of those teams with those top tier quarterbacks, that's where you want to be looking. But it wouldn't surprise me to see the Chargers make elite. Obviously, this is year 2 of Harbaugh. They didn't have a ton of weapons last year. Maybe you pick up some weapons and they should be better this year. So there's a lot of interesting teams out there, but I don't have one that I'm ready to give out yet.
Yeah, the Chargers, I think, is a fun one. I think a lot of people out here, even in LA, again, not necessarily a Chargers city, but there is some momentum building a little bit. You hear people talking about Harbaugh, this team, Herbert, and things like that. So some positive win. Maybe not enough to put money on them and their futures to win the Super Bowl, but still some fun stuff. Raheem, we appreciate you. Where can we find all your work?
I got one more.
Please.
Seattle Seahawks under 8.5 wins. That is one of my favorite ones. Look, I do not believe Sam Darnold is an upgrade over Geno Smith. I think it's a massive downgrade. And then when you get rid of DK Metcalf, you don't have Tyler Lockett. I know you still have JSN, but the fact that Sam Darnold is no longer playing with one of the top tier offensive-minded head coaches in Kevin O'Connell, and he's not playing with Justin Jefferson. He's going to be far worse this year than he was last year. And we saw, he turned into a pumpkin at the end of last year. So I think Seattle Seahawks under 8.5 wins is a good one. I also think there's some real blow-up potential with the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going under 8.5 wins as well. JJ's gonna be mad at this, but I told him this straight to his face.
Good.
They're gonna this could be the end.
I love the parting shots on the way out, but I think those are two good calls there, Raheem. And to hear all this great insight, where can we find your work? And then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day.
You can find me at the Ringer Gambling Show on the Ringer Gambling feed. East Coast bias, myself, John Jastrzemski, Joe House, even Anthony DeBundo. He comes through and blesses us with some knowledge on college basketball and everything else that we don't hit with East Coast bias. So make sure you check out the Ringer Gambling feed. Raheem Palmer, Rostradamus. Y'all know how it's going down.
I love it, man. We appreciate you coming on the show as always, and enjoy Vegas. Enjoy your time out there, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
No doubt. You have a good one.
All right, there you have it for another edition of Thru the Ringer. Thanks to Cousin Sal, as always. We hope he has a very fun weekend in Augusta with all of the gang there, all the wise guys and beyond that will be enjoying my favorite golf tournament, everybody's favorite golf tournament. It's the best. And thanks to Raheem. We always love it having Raheem on the show, breaking down all the mini over-unders and mini lines that you should be looking at. We appreciate the experts sharing their expert opinions, and we appreciate you watching Thru the Ringer. We will see you later in the week on Friday. Stay tuned. We'll see you then.